Welcome to Soul-Led Creative Women, the podcast for heart-centered creative women who are ready to reclaim their spark and live with deeper meaning, authenticity, and soul. So in today's episode, we're exploring something that I believe every creative woman eventually comes up against. We're talking about evolving your creative identity. Not just your creativity, but your creative essence, your creative why. If you're a woman who already paints, draws, journals, collages, or expresses herself in some way creatively, or if you feel a deep pull towards creativity, even if you aren't fully honoring it at the moment, then this episode is for you. As we move through life's winding chapters, there's a question that rises again and again. And that question is, who am I creatively right now? Not who you were 10 years ago, not who others need you to be, not who you were before you went through, a significant change, challenge, motherhood, burnout, heartbreak, or even period of creative silence, but who you are creatively right now in this season. You see, the truth is that what you create in one season isn't necessarily what you're meant to create in the next. And it's really easy to limit your creativity, once you've mastered a certain style, received external success, found some kind of ease in your process, or created something that felt really deeply aligned in a past season. But sometimes that comfort quietly traps you in an older creative identity, one that no longer reflects your inner growth or the woman you are now. And of course, it can feel pretty uncomfortable and annoying, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing when this happens. It can feel like you're abandoning what works, like you're almost being reckless or self-sabotaging, like you're turning away from something that you've invested years into. And sometimes it even feels like you're being called to radically change your style or your entire way of working creatively. But in reality, that's, our head getting in the way. The shift is rarely as dramatic as that. Most often it's a subtle pivot, a gentle maneuver, a quiet reorientation that becomes clear the moment you drop out of your head and back into your creative heart. And it's really a sign that your creativity wants more room. It's a sign that something in you is stretching, a sign that your soul is calling you into the next level, the next chapter, the next breakthrough. And this is all happening so that your creative expression can finally match the growth that's happening in the rest of your life. So I want you to think about, your creative identity. It isn't a fixed title or a set of skills. It isn't about arriving, in a place where you've kind of finally nailed it all. It isn't about your aesthetic. It isn't about your medium or your signature style. It's actually really about your relationship with your creative essence and how you experience your creativity and how you are drawn to express it and how you allow it to evolve over time. And it just isn't something that you can or should control or tightly manage, even though we want to. It's something that wants to move through you. Your creativity doesn't want to be micromanaged. It wants to guide you. And I think tuning into our creative identity is about finding your way back to a kind of creative flow that feels timeless, limitless, almost transcendent. A flow that reminds you of how it felt to create before self-judgment, before perfectionism, before productivity, took the front seat. So when you stop forcing your creativity into old containers, you create room for your art to lead you somewhere new. And it's the part of you that feels most like yourself when you're creating, the part of you that gets really lost in the process. It's about the part of you that processes your life, symbolically and wants to turn emotions into color, movement, imagery. It's about returning to that part of you that finds meaning through expression and the part of you that sees the patterns, the stories, and beauty everywhere. Because your creative identity is much more than just your art. It is a living, breathing part of you. And like anything alive, it shifts as you shift. When you've outgrown your current creative identity, you might notice that your old style doesn't feel like you anymore. Your art might start to feel a bit small, or too small for what's inside you. You might feel restless within familiar creative habits and almost procrastinate because you're just not as interested in it as you used to be. Your creativity might feel tight, predictable, or a bit boxed in. And you might crave, more soul, more depth, more emotional truth in your creative work. So it's not really a problem. It is a call towards evolution. And your creative identity might start to feel really stagnant when life's responsibilities kind of mute your creative impulses, like they feel more important than your creative impulses. You might prioritize creative productivity over creative expression. That's a big sign. Your inner world might be changing faster than your art. Your art might be stuck back in an older version of you. You might be staying in your comfort zone past its season, and you kind of know when that's happening, I think. Or you create for approval instead of true resonance and meaning. And the bottom line is you're allowed to outgrow the creative version of you that existed in a different season of your life. So I think if we can lean into this idea that reclaiming or evolving your creative identity is really just about allowing your creativity to have enough space to show you who you are now. And I think there's actually 4 kind of key pillars that can support this evolution. So the first one is, quite simple. It's kind of back to the beginning of kind of a creative journey. It's all about permission. It's permission to shift, to soften, to explore again, permission to release what no longer feels true for you, permission to begin again in whatever way your soul is calling you forward. Permission is the oxygen that your creativity needs, because without it, we won't show up. The second one is curiosity. So curiosity is your creative compass. It asks, what are you drawn to now? What feels alive today? What imagery or emotion is surfacing within you that wants to, come through? What wants to be explored? And curiosity really just leads you into your next chapter. It keeps you open. The third one is playful expression. So, our creative identities evolve through playful expression, not through overthinking it or, getting stuck in our heads. When we start to actually play again with marks, colors, textures, shapes, symbols, journaling obviously helps a lot as well. And just kind of being open to intuitive flow and letting whatever wants to come through, come through. Expression, reveals kind of your creative evolution long before you can explain it, right? We've got to actually do the thing before we can start to reframe it and reclaim it or evolve it. And then the fourth one is really around, identity work. So giving your creative identity that room so that you can allow it to kind of shift and to move and to transform into something new. It's the moment you release who you think you should be creatively. the moment you stop forcing yourself into old styles that no longer feel alive, have become tedious or boring, the moment you trust the direction, your creativity naturally wants to grow, and stop questioning it, like just give it a little bit of space, a little bit of time. So the identity mindset shifts first, and then the creative expression can follow. So when we do this, when we give creativity room to evolve like this, we're really giving, ourselves space to become more open, more expressive, to welcome in more intuition again, to feel more connected to yourself and more emotionally attuned to what's going on for you right now. It welcomes more creative liberation, and it helps you to obviously align your creative practice with your inner world and your personal growth. And your art begins to then reflect your current truth, not the truth of who you used to be. So as we wrap up this episode, I invite you to, ask yourself really gently, which part of your creative identity feels tight or outdated? And what are you ready to explore next? Remember, your creative identity doesn't need you to control it. It needs space to breathe, space to shift, space to express the inner changes that you have already lived. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Take care. Hey, Sam here. Thanks for listening to the end. If you love this episode, I would love to hear from you. Please send me a message on social media. You can find me on Instagram at Sam Horton Studio. For more episodes like this, please subscribe to my podcast, Soul-Led Creative Women, on your favourite platform. You'll find all the links at samhorton.co/podcast. The themes and tools explored in this episode feature in my new online program, Empowered Creative Soul. To find out more and join the waitlist for VIP perks when doors open, please visit samhorton.co. The direct link is in the show notes. Take care.